Kelly Hushin, and I'm sitting here with Jeffery Lay from the Market Technicians Association. We are here in New York City at the TradeTech offices on Fifth Avenue, and I just wanted to sit down and have a little chat with you, Jeff, because, well, you're interesting to TradeTech in a lot of ways. One, because you're going to be doing some guest blogging for us, and also because you came to finance from a pretty unique background. I just wanted to have you talk a little bit about that. You used to fly some F-14s, from what I understand. Is that true?
Yeah, I did. Actually, I spent the first part of my career in the United States Navy, which was quite an experience. I deployed 3 times around the world and been on several combat deployments. And I used to fly the F-14 Tomcat off the flight deck of aircraft carriers.
Wow. So can you talk a little bit about what that was like? I mean, describe that to me. I have no idea what that even feels like.
It was thrilling, I have to tell you. It was quite something else. It was the experience of a lifetime. I wouldn't have traded for anything. But I'll tell you what it was really mostly about was managing risk. Most people would see the excitement in the flying, and would certainly the thought of being deployed overseas would be interesting. But it was about managing risk just about every second of your life, all day long.
Well, that's a great segue then into what we're talking about here, which is we're going to be doing a series of blog posts with Jeff about risk and how it relates to the financial markets. So can you tell me how you took the risk that you experienced in that part of your career and parlayed it into the experience of finance?
Into Wall Street, of course.
Into Wall Street, exactly.
Wall Street obviously is a risk-based business, and everything that you do in financials has some measure of risk involved. And flying an airplane was really about managing those risks. And the greatest lesson learned from that experience was the capturing of what we call the 7 critical skills. Those 7 critical skills are the skills that every high-performance organization should adopt. And I incorporated those into my business, so it was a natural jump.
Now, we're going to get to those 7 rules, or what do you call them again? 7?
The critical skills. 7
critical skills, right. So we're going to get to that. But I first want to just kind of take a back step and talk a little bit about the Market Technicians Association. Can you explain to me what that is and what you do there?
Indeed. So I'm a director on the board at the Market Technicians Association. We're nearly 4,000 members strong throughout the world. We've established a charter. It's called the Chartered Market Technician Designation, CMT, is what it's affectionately called in the business. And it is a designation that's pursued by those in the financial field who are interested in learning the technical aspects of finance, learning about how securities behave in the aggregate, and sometimes even down to the most small level, if you will. Managing risk, though, is core and central to what the CMT designation is all about. The MTA promotes the designation and holds up the charter by building into the exam process and throughout its members in the entire world.
Okay, great. So now going back to how you came into this world of finance, can you sort of explain where this all came from? I mean, was suddenly one day you woke up and said, you know, this is what I want to do? Was
Sure.
it always beckoning? How did this
I think that it was beckoning. You know, it's we touched on risk a little bit earlier, but the adventure. It's really about helping others. The financial field, particularly in financial services, a lot of times is about helping others and sharing knowledge and just learning to manage that risk. I think was core and central to who I really was. I think I would have ended up here no matter what, but my love of the financial markets actually started with currency and from traveling around the world, so exchanging all these different dollars for dinars, etc. That was an interest to me, and that's really how I kind of got my start in financial services.
Wow, okay. And can you talk a little bit about what your experience has been in the financial sector? Obviously, you're a director now at the MTA, but where did it start, and what was the progression that led you here now?
So the way that it started for me was I left active duty in the Navy and actually was flying the reserves. I flew F-16s, and I was an instructor, and that instructor skill and having been a Top Gun graduate and being the type of person born to give back and teach others played an initial role of my financial life. And I spent some time educating others about the market, which is a lot of what the Market Technicians Association is about. But that went on to educating ultra-high net worth clients, and it got into dealing with the risks that they faced in their life as regards transfer of wealth and dealing with this money. You'd think that being wealthy doesn't engender problems. It actually does. So there are risks involved with being wealthy. And that opportunity to give back and work closely and intimately with others, and also to work with the components of risk and, frankly, excellence, which I think is something that we'll be talking about a bit more.
That's great. Now, I just have to ask, do you ever miss the thrill of that real kind of physical risk of flying an F-14?
Well, the thrill is a great word. I do miss the flying, but I don't look back. I kind of liken it to John Elway winning the Super Bowl those 2 years, and he retired. Both of my last flights, both in the F-14 and the F-16, were with my best friends at the time, and we flew the funnest type of mission. And the training exercise that we went out and executed, I won both of those evolutions, so I never really looked back and kind of had that maybe Brett Favre moment where I needed to come back, one more time.
Right, okay. Well, so back into finance, I did mention that we were going to get back to the 7 critical rules.
Yes.
Can you explain what that's all about and what those are?
The Navy had an interesting and sad spell of accidents following World War II. Sometime in the 50s, when jet aircraft came about, things became more complicated, much like our financial markets today. And the Navy had to go about figuring out how they were going to reduce all these accident rates. And they developed these 7 critical skills that I work with corporations and organizations in developing to teach individuals things like decision making or adaptability, etc. These are also skills that are taught to Top Gun pilots. You maybe have 1 in 100,000 folks that ever go on to be a fighter pilot, but even inside of that, maybe only 1 in 100 actually ever get to go to Top Gun. I was blessed to do that. And the skills that I attained while I was there naturally translated over because they teach people all about discipline and how to compartmentalize and make risk-adjusted decisions on a very quick basis.
Right. So now, Jeff, I wouldn't dare ask about your book.
Right.
But we have heard, no talking about the book?
It's going to be quite an amazing book. It's going to take all the lessons that I've learned by being in Top Gun and what I've learned on Wall Street and how to manage risk. And it's going to be written by a #1 New York Times bestselling author. It's going to be quite good. So you have something really to look forward to.
Wow, excellent.
I can't tip it more than that.
Okay, that's fine. So we'll just stick with the blog because that is something that we're going to be able to talk about. We're going to work on that together. So why don't we start there? We'll just get into that a little bit. What do you think we're going to approach first?
Well, let's look at it in the aggregate. I think that most people approach the markets from a sense of greed, frankly. And probably the best way to approach the market, the way that I approach it, is really on risk. And risk doesn't mean that you give away upside, because there is excellence. We're pursuing excellence. So that's the theme for the blog. We want to put together a piece together where we're going to talk about risk and excellence. So in any given week, we might concentrate on risk in a particular commodity or a physical security itself, or it might be the market in the aggregate, maybe international. And we'll also look at opportunities for excellence, maybe international or particular continents that look attractive and why. But it'll always be around this thought process of what does this mean to me and how can I apply this in my everyday practice.
Great. Well, I'm so excited to have you doing this with us and to be working with you on this. And we're going to have lots more exciting posts to come from Jeff. And so we just want to say thank you for stopping by and also for the blogs that are sure to come.
Pleased to be here and I look forward to it. Thank you.
Great.